Summers County Board of Education to order, January 24th, 2023. Roll call, let the minutes reflect that all members are present. And Mr. Brogan, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have item 3, approval of agenda and adjustments. I'm going to ask for an adjustment when we get to paying the bills. There's a bill for myself that we can pull that out separately.
I would need to adjust under number 10, personnel, the very last item, parent, volunteer, chaperone. I would have to recuse myself for Jacqueline Farley.
Let's take mine first. Let's get the bill first.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
You can make the
You're
motion.
good. You're good.
Oh, I thought we had to do all the adjustments. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to make a motion that we pull the bill for myself out separately. Also make a motion that we pull R.T. Rogers out separately.
Okay.
And do we have any safe and sound? I didn't see any. Okay.
I'll second.
So we have a motion on the floor by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we pull out the bill for myself, Gregory Angel, and for R.T. Rogers separately. Any discussion? I will just say that the bill for myself is my son was in a dual credit class, and that's just what that was reimbursement. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that adjustment to pull out myself and R.T. Rogers has been approved. Any other adjustments?
Okay. I need the adjustment. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I need the adjustment under 10 personnel, the last item, to recuse myself from parent volunteer Jackie Farley.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mrs. Farley.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we pull out, we handle parent volunteer chaperone separately when we get to personnel. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we will pull parent volunteer / chaperone out separately when we get to personnel. Any other adjustments for the agenda?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as read with the aforementioned adjustments.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we approve the agenda as read with the aforementioned adjustments. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the agenda was approved with the above-mentioned adjustments. Item number 4, presentations. The first one we have is an AED update by Ms. Dina Pavant.
Currently, we have 10 AEDs in the county. 7 are located at the Summers County Continuous High School, and 1 is in each elementary school. They are ready to use if needed. 9 more have been ordered so that each elementary school will have at least 2 in their building. And I went to the board office last week and thought it'd be a good idea that 1 would be at the bus garage. So we've ordered 1 for the bus garage, the board office, and the new athletic building out there. In addition, we've ordered a couple because we recently found out that an AED is supposed to accompany sports when they go to away games. So we have 2 AEDs that are in the coaches' offices for basketball season right now that they sign out when they need to go to an away game, but we've ordered 2 more to help middle school sports out. I'm trying to have an official AED program, and to do that, we have to register with the West Virginia Office of Emergency Medical Services. So it's a process. We have to have a medical director, and I'm working with Raynell Medical Center to get them to be our medical director, and then we need a program director. and that will probably be me, to make sure that all of the AEDs in the schools are checked monthly. They have pads and batteries that are ready to use, and that people are officially trained how to use AEDs. So when we get all that paperwork underway, we'll have an official, that way we'll be in compliance. But as of right now, though, if we need one, we do have one. Just pray that we never have to use it.
Absolutely.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That wasn't as bad as Thank you all.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, our next presentation is a TIPS presentation. This was from the South Carolina Ed Tech Conference, and we have Ms. Amy Smith, Mr. Nathan Smith, and Ms. Kristen Schaefer.
All right, Superintendent Werble, board members, thank you first off for the opportunity to speak this evening. I hope you don't mind. Sometimes I get a little nervous whenever I speak in front of adults, so I just have these headphones that I'm just going to play with a little bit. Don't worry if I get a little nervous, and you might think I'm breaking, but with these you can do all kinds of stuff. You can twist them around, all kinds of good things like that. And this is actually what we just purchased for every student in Summers County. I have 1,400 of these in that office that are being, that we are waiting to label, and then we'll get those out to the students' computers. Now, the reason why that I really bring this up is because this is one of the items that we found at the South Carolina Ed Tech Conference. We have an issue with some of our Chromebooks. Some of our Chromebooks, with the latest update, we have headphones that have a USB jack. And those headphones aren't working. The kids will put them in, and it's all staticky. Well, we have a lot of kids that use a lot of assistive technology to where the stuff reads to them, to where they can dictate their information. And so it's really important that we had something with a 3.5 jack to put in the headphone jack. So when we were there, we were looking around, and this is what we liked the best because the guy was demonstrating, and he was twisting them all around. And that's what I like because, believe it or not, kids break stuff. The dogs get a hold of them and all that. And then the other thing I like a lot about them is because you know what side, which ear it goes on. I don't know about you guys, but I hate headphones with microphones because, does it go this way? Does it go that way? Well, these are labeled left and right. So anyway, it's an educational lesson all in of itself. We're trying to teach kids left and right, and yeah, left, whichever way that is. So that is one of the items that we got at the South Carolina Ed Tech Conference. Mrs. Smith is going to show you some other things that we purchased and demoed from that technology conference. Mrs. Schaefer is going to talk to you guys about some of the different sessions that she attended. But I want to give you a little history of the Technology Integration Specialist Program here at Summers County. So in 2008, we had our first TIS, the Technology Integration Specialist. And that was a guy by the name of Tucker Ford. Several of you know Mr. Ford. He teaches at Topping Elementary School. After a year, the county decided, you know what, we need another one. We need one for the secondary schools and one for the elementary schools. And so they hired me for the secondary and Mr. Ford for the elementary. At that time, we had to get 380 hours of professional development. So we would go to conferences in order to get those hours and also in order to know what's going on with technology and education. So the first summer, we went to Orlando, Florida, to FETC. It was great. It was nice. We had a wonderful time. Tucker and I, we had a competition to see who could get the most T-shirts. He won. He got 31. I got 30. I still think that he stole one out of my suitcase, but anyway, I'm over that. That was 15 years ago. Almost over. But the next summer, we went to the International Technology Conference, which was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The city of brotherly love became the city of technology education love. And so we had a great time there. Then after that conference, this county hired 2 more TISs, Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Schaefer. And we started looking at other conferences because when we were at Philadelphia, Tucker and I, we walked miles from one session to the next session. And we did a whole lot of walking. We even walked up the art museum where Rambo, did his training. Or not Rambo, but Rocky. Yeah.
That was his cousin.
That's right. Thanks. I appreciate that. So anyway, we did a lot of walking, and we decided, you know what, let's look for something that is more similar to the demographics of West Virginia. West Virginia, for years, had their own educational technology conference, and we attended that as well. But anyway, we found South Carolina Ed Tech. And South Carolina Ed Tech, they have it 3 years in Greenville, South Carolina, and then 3 years at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And so it alternates every 3 years. So when we went to South Carolina Ed Tech, we liked it. We fell in love with that one because their demographics are very similar to the demographics of West Virginia. They have rich public or private, or not private, but schools like in the bigger districts, and then they have some that don't have as much money. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody at that conference. And I know everybody says, well, it must be nice to go to a conference at Myrtle Beach. So I want to tell you what it's like. Imagine this, you are on vacation with your family, and all of your family, they are out on the beach, and they are living it up, getting that suntan, and you're sunburnt, and you are stuck in the motel watching PBS shows all day long. That's what it's like going to the conference, because the conference is from like 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock. I didn't get any surfing in. Can't surf anyway, but anyway, that's what the conference is like. So for many, many years, the superintendents and the board members have really encouraged us to go to these conferences. If you know anything about technology, you know technology changes rapidly. I mean, it's nonstop. And I can tell you this, I've always been proud of Summers County. Every time that we go to a technology conference, whether it's in-state or out-of-state, I'm always proud of Summers County, because I will tell you this, Summers County has done and continues to do it correctly. And there are people that come to us when we go to conferences, and they say, you know, what are you all doing in Summers County? What are you all doing in West Virginia? And that makes me feel good. I'm proud of the technology in Summers County. And a lot of that is because of the support from you all. So that is a brief history of the Technology Integration Specialist programs here in Summers County. And I want to say thank you very much for approving us to go to this conference. I don't want to say much about the sessions because I know Mrs. Schaefer is going to talk about sessions, and then Mrs. Smith is going to talk to you about some of the things that we picked up. And then if you pay real good attention, we might have something for you.
A t-shirt?
Not a t-shirt. Not a t-shirt.
Mr. Ford's t-shirt.
We started out with the keynote speaker, and she was the Chief Technology Officer for Wake County Public Schools for the system. And her focus was on leadership on all levels, leadership in the classroom, in the school, the district, and the state. Then after that, we moved on to our sessions, and there was over 100 sessions available. And for these sessions, there are different tracks that people can attend. For example, there's a track of assistive technology and accessible technology. There's a track for data privacy and security. There's a track for instructional technology, for IT security, network, infrastructure, and technical support. There's a track for physical safety, policies and procedures, Power School, professional development and professional learning communities. And then there's a track for virtual teaching, e-learning, and one-to-one initiatives. In addition to those sessions are about 50 minutes with 10 minutes to travel from session to session. Then they also have workshops available that are 2-hour workshops. Some of these are free, some of them are 4 hours, but the bulk of them are 2 hours, and it's a $10 additional charge per session for that. They also have training, a full day training available for 1 day, and it was on youth mental health and first aid certification training. They also have a certification central where it's free for all registered attendees, and it allows attendees to take proctored tests for different certifications. For example, they had tests available to become Google certified for education and Microsoft certified. The track last year that I followed was instructional. A lot of the STEM I went to last year. This year, with the situation that I have been in Hinton area, I followed more of the track of coaching and professional development and professional learning communities. So it has a little bit for everyone. And one thing that I like about the sessions, when Amy's going to speak here about the vendors and the materials that's available for us to see and to look and to try, they also have sessions available where you can go and they'll demonstrate. the items where you can learn a little bit more about them. They answer questions when you go into the room with all the vendors, the vendor hall, but also they have trainings available for that. So it's a little bit of everything for everyone's needs.
Thank you.
Okay. I want to talk about the vendor hall. We've been to the state, they still have the West Virginia Technology Conference here every year. It's in the summertime, and it always runs right on the same week as church camp. So, and I've presented at it though a lot of times. But the great advantage of going to one out of state, for one, is to see what everybody else is doing. One thing that they didn't say was that South Carolina is a Google state. And so when we went down there for the first time, we were just getting started with Google here. And when we went to the sessions, we learned so much. Now that we've been doing Google for a long time, those who are, talking about the different Google things, we know a good bit about it. I've always followed a lot of the things on the assistive technology track because that's sort of my thing. But there's, we were able to learn so much because they were a place that we were just getting started at. But what is great about it is that they have so many more vendors. And Nathan has always been the king of the vendor hall. That Nathan likes to talk. And so, I go places, that I know that I'm interested in, and then I turn around and look. And they have them labeled by like 100, 200, 300 rows. And I'll say, call him, I'm in 200, where are you? Well, I got to talk to this. But you make a lot of connections there. And some of the things, I was looking at specifically at something that we were starting here with EverFi. And I'd been having some problems with my account. And I couldn't pull in lessons that I wanted to be able to pull into. So they had a booth there, and I went. He got into my account and opened everything for me. And so, mission accomplished. We went, in the very first place we came to a place that had scan pins. And in just a minute, I'm going to let you try them. We just got them back in. Ms. Knott, Dr. Knott, purchased them with some special ed money for this school, and so we will have more of them. But what's great about going to a place where you can see and touch and feel, sometimes you get mixed up when you need something and you go to order it in a catalog and it's just, it's not made very well, or you're just not satisfied with what you've got. But here, we touch, we feel, we see. They demo for us things that we want to look at. And the headphones were a big thing, because he didn't say, but right listed on it was there, chew-proof. Can't even chew through these. But one of the things that we ended up with, we have, your kids may have talked about it, teachers, most all elementary teachers, we call them Elmos because Elmo was the brand, but they're really document cameras. And they're getting old, like real old, and they're starting to play out, and we didn't have anything really to replace them. And this guy he had all kinds of them. He was showing us how to do it. He gave us a price of what it would be. And they were like less than half or more than half of what an Elmo is. And this one of the big things, Elmos were big for one thing. And the other thing was you might have to turn it this way to get it to where it wasn't upside down, and this way. And this one has a button that reorients. You might not think that's a big deal, but it's a super big deal. And let's see.
That's a new one.
I know. And this is, I think it was $200, $300. It's not on. There. And it auto-focuses itself, and I can put anything that I want on here. I've always thought it was a really important tool for math teachers. I think all math teachers should have one because then you can go through problems with them. And I'm sort of a math person. But when we got some of these here, because a lot of the teachers in the high school, middle school didn't have one at all. And so it has a really nice, strong base, and it can move around. It does some time-lapse things. It's very handy dandy. And I also thought that it would be a good place for special ed rooms. So we put them in special ed rooms, and the teachers loved them. I had a demo. I came back, they said, we'll send you a demo, and you can keep it. That's not always the case. But with this one, it was. So they sent me a demo, and I put it in Miss James's class. And she said, oh, this is awesome. And she teaches English. And when I was in there the other day, she had a paper that was exactly like the student's paper underneath of it. And she was saying, and I want you to write this here, and give an instruction with it. I was in a special ed class for social studies, and they had a map under it, and was showing the kids where it was like that. So a lot more uses for it than what I had envisioned as a math person. I thought, this is something that math teachers need, and the math teachers pretty much had one. Then I'm an assistive technology person. It's always been my thing. My daughter is dyslexic. She graduates from high school this year. She's already joined the National Guard, and she's maintained a straight A average through high school. And she couldn't have done that if it weren't for assistive technology and things that she uses. So this has always been my big thing. Every time I go to conferences, that is my first thing that I go looking for, is what's the new stuff that we've got. Some of the stuff every year when I come back, I'll talk to Dr. Knott and I'll say, so we've got this purple puzzle piece, and it's read and write, and it is so cool. And if we can put this, she ended up putting it on all the kids' computers, and we have kids that use it that are definitely not dyslexic and have no trouble reading, but they maybe like to hear things read to them, or they like to dictate their work so that they don't have to type it. It's a real game changer. And this time, when Emily was probably in second grade, we tried these pens, and they were awful. The technology we're talking about, she's in 12th grade, that was 10 years ago, and they just didn't read very well what you scanned on them. Well, the same people were there here, and I walked right up to them and I said, listen, I've presented against your all stuff for years because it just didn't work. And they said, we've got a new product out, and I think you'll be happy with it. And he took his little pen, and it read everything. So I want you to see what it is that we have. Keep that one. Yeah. Well, you can hand it out. This one the student's been using. And what it does is you'll turn it on. When you get one, go ahead, hand them out. I just got them set up today, actually, and got the charge on them. But there's a red button, if you can't see very well, which I don't. Go ahead and take it out of the box.
This isn't the present, by the way.
No, definitely not. And Mr. Raval, this one's set up differently.
Okay.
But push the red button until it comes on. And give it a second. There's a headphone jack on the end of it, so a student can use it, and it'll read to them.
Will it work with our new headphones?
Yes.
It will. We used it with the new headphones just today. It should say scan to read. Does it say scan to read? If it doesn't, then it says reader. And if it does, just push the big button in the middle. All right, now, really easy to use. Just get you a piece of piped paper and run it across one of the lines.
Just kind of push down, you'll see a light
A
comes
light will
on.
come on, and just scan right across it, and then pick it up and give it a second.
That's great.
Pretty good. And this is what I've been looking for years to close the gap. Because we have excellent stuff on our computers, excellent stuff that we'll read. But when a child receives a worksheet from a teacher, then the stuff that they've been using all along to be able to read to them on their computer, we can't do anything with it. So you have a teacher that has to come over and read it. The student would have to raise their hand to have it read. Very stigmatism thing. Kids are really crazy about that. And we had a little girl, the one that's been using, the one that Mr. Warble has, and his is set up different. You can actually scan many lines with it. Your alls aren't set to do that. His is, because that's the way she does it. And then you have to actually move it up to the beginning and push play, and then it'll read a whole paragraph if that's what you wanted. And so I've changed that one because that's the one that she uses in class. But she didn't like her puzzle piece for whatever reason. And so Miss Jones, she printed off stuff for us because she would use this. And she kept it at her desk. The little girl came and got it, and she's been using it ever since we came back from EdTech because she said, just email me and I'll send you a demo. Just like the guy here said, just email me and I'll send you a demo. So we emailed and they sent demos, and then we ended up purchasing products. And we don't have it up here because I guess it's hidden back, but a couple of years ago, we went to the same conference and we were looking for charging stations, those great big boxes you see in schools, the charging stations. And he said, give me your address and I'll mail you one. You can keep it. And we did. We were able to see it, see how it worked, and we ended up buying it for every classroom in the county. So that's the reason, the benefit, the great benefit of going to a bigger one, but not too big. You know, Nathan will tell you that when he went to FETC, he didn't see everything. It was overwhelming. When he went to the one in Pennsylvania, it was a great experience, but there's just so much, it's overwhelming. And here, we go to sessions, we have time to spend in vendor halls, and time to talk to people to be able to, for them to show us the things that we need. And this is something, like I said, this has been my life's work really since Emily we found out Emily was dyslexic. And this was the missing piece that was, you know, and now it doesn't make any difference to her, but it was. For the kids, we've, Title I bought one for each elementary school, because you don't want a kid who's learning to read to use something like this. But once they're in 4th or 5th grade and they can't read, then it's something to help them out. And you notice on there, a big thing with all learning things is it highlights each word. I think that's a great thing, because that's something that on the purple puzzle piece is a great thing, because the more times they connect it with their eyes and they hear it and they see it, all those connections make those words easier to pull in their mind. And another thing that I wanted to show you, Nathan pulled it up, is the school is looking for an electronic hall pass. We have trouble with kids in schools. All schools do, but we have lots of kids, so we have lots of problems. And this is a teacher page, and teachers can create passes, but there's also a student page, and on their Chromebook, they'll be able to create a pass, and we have it set to where the teacher has to approve the pass before they can leave, and we've set limits on, you can only have 4 people at the cross hall bathroom in the girls' bathroom. I think mine would be 3. And it'll cut them off. If somebody asks for a pass to that place and there's already that many people out, it'll put you in a queue and you have to wait. And then the teacher, it'll come up on their device that they approve the pass, or on the student's device, there'll be a place that they can type in a code, and then the student can leave their computer there. They've got a set amount of time. We've put 5-minute limits on things. Doesn't cut them off, but in a parent meeting where you've got a kid that's running the halls all the time, and they've got a 5-minute pass, they don't come back for 10 minutes. Well, it's logged that, and now you can show them that this is how much instructional time your child has missed because they're out running the halls.
So does that connect with like all the other classrooms too? So if I've got a student that's out, and he's got a student that's out at the same bathroom, then that talks to each other.
Yeah. Sweet. And not just that, it has a encounter feature. That means that we can look back at the data, and if we see the same 2 people meeting up out at the bathroom every single time, we can put them in containers to where it won't let but one of them out at a time. And so we're hoping that it's actually tomorrow morning. Nathan and I are training the teachers down here on how to use it. So it's something that we're really hoping to do. And like I said, we watched the demo for this. You know, I said, this is something we're looking at, we're looking to buy. When you say stuff like that, then they're real interested in you understanding everything there is to know about their product. And, but we do appreciate the opportunity to go to things, and you can see the benefits of it around you.
Thank you.
All right, since you all behaved, and since I talked to vendors, and, you know, I was able to score some gifts,
Swag.
some swag, that's right. And it's orange and black. You're welcome. I know. I think it's got me confused with somebody else.
Yeah, well, I'll move on. He's answering calls.
You can have it, man.
Are you sure?
I've got so many of those types of bags.
Okay.
We use those when we go to Sam's Club now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, on the last day, that works out pretty good.
Give it to someone else that pays attention.
All right.
The teacher, see?
All right, that's what I'll do. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, sir. I didn't feel a t-shirt in that bag, Mr. Angel. Just
Yeah, there's gift cards in
Oh,
it too.
Not over $25 though.
No.
No.
It's not even over 5, let's be honest.
Hey, this is good stuff here.
Are there, before we move on, are there any questions or comments for these individuals? Okay, thank you. So item number 5, public comments.
Did we have any up there? Okay.
Okay, I have none. Item 6, approval of minutes. We have before us the January 10th, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for January 10th.
Second. Have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the minutes from the January 10th, 2023 regular meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the January 10th, 2023 regular minutes have been approved. Mr. McBride, turn it to you. And from myself. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Okay, now, we have a bill for payment to Greg Angel and also RT Rogers before us.
Make a motion that we pay Greg and Archie Rogers.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Harvey, a second by Ms. Farley, to pay these RT Rogers and Mr. Angel. And is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Let the record show that both Mr. Angel and Mr. Brogan recused themselves, and by a 3-0 vote, the motion carries.
They're heading back.
All right.
Our presentation was over. Looks like there's more stuff.
All right. So, ready for the remaining bills now, Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Okay, so we have before us the remaining bills.
I make a motion that we pay the remaining bills.
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mrs. Farley, that we pay the remaining bills. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we have approved paying the remainder of the bills. All right. Item number 8, old business, discussion or possible action regarding gifting the middle school building to the Three Rivers Foundation.
Okay, you all have 3 color copies. I tucked it in the very back, because I was trying to get you as big of a colored picture as I could today from the surveyor. This is what you call preliminary, but if the board tonight says it's okay to move forward with the attorneys to write up the agreement between the Board of Ed and Three Rivers, then we can do that at the next board meeting when we get all the legal work put together. But tonight I wanted you to look at these 3 pictures from the surveyor. So the first picture, you have an aerial view of the property that is owned by the Board of Education. The red is the outline area that would be gifted away to Three Rivers. You can see there's an alleyway that comes on the back side. So that alley is for anybody that needs to get on the back side. So that would be the neighbors to their property, the Board of Education, and also whoever we gift it to, which in this case would be Three Rivers. If you look on the front at Temple Street, you see the line that's going right down the middle of the, I would call that an easement between two buildings. Can you see what I'm talking about right here?
It's where the breezeway.
So the
Yeah.
breezeway, well, what is preliminary is, and this is for you guys to discuss tonight, is do you want that line to stay in between the two facilities so both parties have access to that? And the surveyor said what he would put on that paperwork is a dashed line that would represent both parties have access. Either way, I think it's an easement. It doesn't bother me if it doesn't bother you. But if you guys say, well, I would rather that red line go towards what we're gifting to give us more property and them less, you can do that too. But as far as I'm concerned as neighbors, I would want to grant them access because they have double doors there and they would need that breezeway area to get stuff into the building or have access for people to go in the building as well as people who work at the central office. So there's that picture, and I'll answer about as many questions as I can because he got this done today for us, so you guys can see that. The other two pictures basically kind of go with what I've said already. It's not colors, the second one, but the third one is more the blown up between the two properties that I just talked about where that dash line is. So that dash line, like I said, could be brought towards the middle school building that we're looking at gifting. Leave it alone. You guys can move that line however way you want, but those pins will not be put in the ground until there's been some agreement by both parties. So the question is, if you like the picture the way it is and you say that looks right, let's send it to the attorney for them to draw it up. Then our attorney, which is Bowles Rice, Mark and Tony, would draw everything up, work with Three Rivers attorney, and then go from there. At this point in time, you can see who owns what properties, and you see there's an alleyway on the backside for access, but the big question of the day is, does the board want to move that line that's in between the two buildings where there's a breezeway?
And before the rest of you all talk, I'm going to recuse myself for that part of the discussion, if that's okay. Or do you think that?
You're not voting on anything
Okay,
tonight.
not voting on, okay.
The only thing you'd be voting on is, do you want me to proceed with the way it looks? Or do you guys want to just move the line? Because really, that's not going to affect anything. Just because you work for that other company, that has nothing to do with, you're not gifting anything tonight.
Right.
You're just talking about a line. If you feel better to leave, that's fine too.
Okay.
I just want you to be aware that nothing's being gifted.
No, understood.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just don't want it to.
I got you. Fair enough, that's fair. But I want you to be aware of what's going on too.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I got you.
My first thought is that we should probably have the line against the school all the way and then just give them a right of way.
You can do that.
But with past experience with this type of thing, once you make it a right of way, they have access to it regardless of where the line is. So that's kind of a moot point.
And that was kind of my thoughts. It doesn't matter where this line is. If we're gonna give them a right of way, they're gonna have access to it.
Yeah.
Whether the line's against the building in the middle or against us.
The question would come up to, and again, this is all for attorneys, because you guys know how that works, is the maintenance of that part. So let's say that deteriorated, then both parties would be on the hook, from what I understand. I hate to use the hook, but this is down the road. Let's say that concrete just broke up and needed repaired. You could say, well, both parties use it, it's down the middle, let's work together. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I get what that's why I want you guys to understand, this is preliminary, but this is pretty much what it's gonna be. And if this is what you all say, and this is what the attorneys agree to, then the pins start going in the ground, and this will be what's on the plate for next month for you to gift.
We have a commissioner here with us tonight. Do you have any opinion on or any advice?
Well, here, I'll get
I agree with what y'all are saying, and I don't think it's gonna make any difference, because
And
You don't
As well
want
as snow
to give
removal
them the
too, if we would just
property
give them right
and
away,
lock
we
them
actually
out,
would be
but-
responsible for snow removal if we gave just the right of way. So by sharing it, we wouldn't be responsible fully for like snow removal and all that.
Yeah.
I know you said that depending on what we decide tonight, the lawyers will draw this up. Have we received any indication from the lawyers what would be the best way to do this?
No, because they haven't seen the final, and that's what the surveyor said. You're the owners, therefore you can dictate the line. Having said that, if you're gifting it, then their attorney might say, well, we might want the line. To me, I think it would be fair to both parties to say, if you want to work together, just go down the middle and share it and call it a day. That's just my thoughts on it, but again.
No, Renee brought up a point. I mean, we may be able to, if it's in the middle, may be able to share snow costs or repair, as you mentioned.
Yeah,
Because if we would give an easement, just an easement to it, we would be responsible for all of that.
right.
So I feel that
Well, that may need to be something drawn up. Greg's bringing up a good, are you going to present
Well,
that?
I guess my thing would be, I think we will work very well together with this Three Rivers Foundation, but if this building ever goes away from Three Rivers.
Right.
However, again, it goes back to if we've written it into the deed that they have a right of way, even if the line's up against the building, that would go with whoever would obtain that property
Right.
from Three Rivers.
And you also have those steps on the backside too. So if you're sharing the steps and easement, and let's say something deteriorates, you could have both entities sharing the cost, or one could say, we'll pay for the materials, we'll pay for the labor. You can have those discussions. Or you might just say, we use it more, we understand, we'll fix it, or we caused the damage, or if you caused the damage, we need to work together on this. But, the attorneys can draw that up. If you guys want to leave it the way it is, I can give it to Mark D'Antoni. He can work it up and then talk to their attorney, because the good thing about the attorney is I believe they work for the city as well as for the Three Rivers. So it's going to be a good investment for everybody to work this out together.
You might take what Greg said into advisement and make sure we're protected should they sell for some reason.
Okay.
If they were to liquidate the property, if they were to transfer ownership, what would be the effect on this line or the right of way?
Just make sure we don't lose access to the whole width of the thing, no matter what happens.
Hey,
Right.
Greg, Brian brought up this point, I'm not sure you want to put it in as a right of way,
Mhm.
because if they want to extend out or something like that, they'd be extending out and using your portion. If you have it open, that's a right of way.
Would they not be able to do that? I guess, and this might be a lawyer question, but if it's an easement, would they be able to do that as well, or
Easements of right of way.
right away?
You shouldn't be able to block them right away, though.
So,
For right away means what it says, you have to have the right to come through there, so.
From what I understood, it's like the alley on the backside. You can't block that alley unless you temporarily park because you're unloading, loading, but you can't put a structure there to stop people from. So that's basically the agreement that I think both attorneys are supporting. I think everybody's working together on that, but I just need to make sure, since this has been tabled, full transparency, here's the latest drawing. We have a preliminary. You just need the attorneys to sift through that and then put the pins in the ground if everybody's going to agree to it and move forward.
Yeah, and I guess I would like for the, obviously we'll get the opinion of the attorney.
You will, because if Mark draws this up and we gift this,
Yeah.
he will be here at board meeting and go through everything with you, because there's no, this is great that we got this already, because since the death of the other surveyors, getting a new one, it's gotten a little slown up here, but I think it's moving now, and you can, I wanted you to get the aerial view of everything and see what the drawings were.
And they might recommend that we go the other way with it, depending on the attorney's point, so.
Yeah, because they work for you.
So essentially, we can say we're okay with this line tonight, and you can present this to the attorney. And then if they offer a different recommendation, they can bring that back.
And you don't have to do any action tonight. This is discussion with action, because there's been a lot of discussion with action, possible action. So if you want, I can get this to Mark. I'll have Chad talk to the surveyor to get a final. I think this preliminary is basically gonna be the final, because he's pretty sure about all this. It's just for your information, and I'll give it to Mark tomorrow, and we'll start moving for next month and have him report out to you. But I'll keep you guys.
Wants to make a motion to go ahead and hand this off to the attorney?
Yeah,
So we
you
need
can
that
do
on record. so-
Yep.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Turn this over to the attorney.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mrs. Farley, that we go ahead and turn over the drawings with the projected boundaries of the old middle school building for them to go ahead and draw up the deed. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by 4-0 vote with Mrs. Harvey recusing herself. Go ahead and send these drawings to the attorney for them to draw up the deeds. All right, item number 9, new business, approved purchases over $20,000.
If you don't mind, Mr. Angel, before we talk about the creative audiovisual, you see proximity learning there, and it was blank.
Yep.
It's because we had a sliding scale of, we had a teacher leave to go to the private industry, and we're looking at replacing a math teacher who teaches math 8 and 1 6th grade class. I believe, did you say you had it now? They got it to you?
Yeah, about an hour ago.
Okay.
5 classes, 4 math 8 and 1 math 6 is $35.99.95. $30,599.95.
30,000?
Yes,
$5.99?
yes, and 95 cents.
And that's, you said 4 8th grade math classes?
And 1 6, so
1
5
6th
classes
grade.
total. Aligning with our bell schedule. So our students will go into the classroom as usual and just have instruction delivered via technology and a live teacher.
And the funding source is good that we have this COVID money to help with instructional loss. The gentleman that we thought we'd be able to get to fill in for the rest of the school year to help out, he will not be allowed to be released from the school system. He is currently in for over a month. Guys, that's 5 weeks of not having someone teach math. And if we really want to move the needle with academics, proximity is our best bet right now with a live instructor. The reason why we had to wait at the last minute was Ken Lester worked hard to get a highly qualified person live to match up to our bell schedule, which it's not easy when you have a weird schedule of 8, throw in 1 6th grade. So the good news is we have COVID money for this kind of instructional loss to use it, justify it.
And there will be obviously another,
You have a sub in there?
so, okay.
Yeah.
Will that be a long-term sub, or will it just be on a daily basis?
It'll start out long-term until that person, because when they get that job, they keep it.
Yes.
Unless they miss a day, then a new person.
Okay.
Can somebody explain to me how that's okay to pay for the creative audio visual Title I funds? Just wondering how that works.
I think that was county funds. Or
Title I.
Title I funds. That shouldn't be Title I funds. That's gonna come out of, art funding. That will not come out of, Title I funds. Part of it was able to come out of Title I funds, for something different for the auditorium, because it does meet with, expanding educational resources for our students, such as theater, music, band, that sort of thing. But the sound system and the install is actually gonna be out of art funding.
That clears it up.
What'd you say?
That clears it up. I just wasn't really understanding how that's gonna happen. I know y'all can work your magic sometimes.
And
so the proximity funding is that's from now to the end of the semester?
Yes.
That's the rest of the school year, yes. Because we wanted to carry it out because we don't know whether that person get out of their contract or not. We've been told, but I've also been told a lot of other stuff. And then all of a sudden, just like our survey, a person ends up passing away. You can't guarantee anything.
So you're interested in coming for next year possibly?
Possibly, yes, yes. Yes.
In the sound system, that was put out for bid,
Yes, that was through the TIPS contract.
okay.
Or no, I'm sorry, it was not done through the TIPS
Okay,
contract.
I see.
Daniel put out what the specifications were,
Yeah,
and then he
Okay.
received those back, and that should have been in that.
so we do have the bids. I was not realizing these were separated.
And I'll tell you what, that auditorium really needs to get updated. It is so far back behind the eight ball, and so it'll be nice to get everything updated in there as well. It needs it.
And I do see here, oh, this is different. So, we have 4 bids, okay.
And one of them, I think I asked that he write notes on it. One of them did not meet the specifications of what he asked for, so it automatically, it wasn't subject to it because it did not meet what we needed.
Will our infrastructure in the auditorium handle the system they're gonna put in, or will we have to do any modifications?
And from the best of my knowledge, no, we will not have to do any modifications. The stuff that Daniel has been doing down here, will, mesh up with this.
Okay.
I will make a motion that we approve both purchases over $20,000.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we approve both the creative audio visual and proximity learning purchases, both over $20,000. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the purchases over $20,000 have been approved. Item B, discussion or possible action to approve overnight out-of-state trip. We have the Summers County Comprehensive High School Honor Band with Mr. Sims going to Marshall University February 9th through the 11th.
I'll make a motion that we approve this.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. McBride. We approve the overnight out-of-state trip of the Summers County Comprehensive High School Honor Band to Marshall University February 9th through the 11th. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that trip has been approved. Item C, we have discussion or possible action regarding approval of the following policies. And I'm not going to read all these. They have been posted on the agenda for the required amount of time. They've also been posted on the website for the 2-week time frame.
No comments.
No comments have been made. So we have 10 policies here that have been out for public comment and ready for a motion for approval of these policies.
I'll make a motion to approve these policies.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we approve the 10 policies that have been out for review. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the 10 policies out for review have been approved. All right, item D, under agenda item 9, discussion or possible action regarding bus operator demand note.
I would love to talk to you guys and speak intelligently on this, but I am going to yield to the gentleman across the room, Mr. Boone, our transportation director. He will explain this and give you personal account of why we're bringing this to your attention, okay? And if there's hard questions, please ask him, not me. This is pretty good stuff, and he'll be able to explain it pretty well.
It's just an incentive payment for the trainees that come and do the class to drive a bus. Now you can't just go to like DMV, take your CDL test. You have to actually go through the class first before they'll even let, and this is for everybody across the board. So once they did that this last year, changed that, we are getting people that are coming, not just us, other counties too, that are coming to take our class for free, and as quick as they get through the class, they're gone. They're going to drive a truck or whatever, they find a job and get out, but they're using us to get licensed. Monroe County's been doing it for about a year and a half. They had 2 subs when they started. Their turnaround now, I talked to him yesterday to ask him how it was still going. They have 11 subs. He hasn't had to run a class. He said it's the best thing they ever did. Talked to Mercer County about a week ago, and he was running a similar thing before the board to do, there. They don't have to sign it, but it gives the trainee a chance, and it's not paid until they completed the class and are hired. And then by that, if they are hired to complete the class, depending on what amount of time that it takes them to get through the class, because that determines how much they will get paid. They also have to agree to stay a year, and they can only turn down 3 runs. If they don't, then that's where the demand note comes in, and they can have to pay it back. So it's kind of a way, it actually saves the county money in the long run, because you don't have it cost us about $4,500 a person to run a class. We're running them back to back and losing people, just like you got one on there tonight that went back to Pennsylvania. And so it's a way to keep them around at least a year. He had the last class, he told me he had 8 people. 7 of them signed it, 1 of them didn't. He still has all 8. They've been there for almost a year now. So he said it worked real well for them in Monroe County. There's several other counties that have something similar to it. Just think this would be another way, because if we don't do something and your neighboring county's doing it, then you're going to get somebody, a driver, that they're not going to go for us if they can go over there and get a payment and drive from Monroe County or Mercer County, or any of the 14 counties.
So does this only qualify if they go through Summers County's classes?
Yes.
So if they go through Monroe County's and bring that, then that doesn't qualify?
That doesn't, if they go through Monroe counties and they come over here later, no, it doesn't. This is only for the trainees that goes through our class and complete it and are hired by the board to be a substitute. And then once that happens, then and it also gives them an incentive to finish it a little quicker, because we found in other classes we've had, when they're not getting paid anything and they've got a Saturday or another job, it's a lot of them will say, well, I can't come today, I can't do this, I'll have to make it up or whatever. But when they have an incentive, knowing that the quicker they finish it, that it's going to make a difference in how much they get, it'll get them through quicker. But so far, everybody that has this or similar, and I give this to our lawyer, I actually had a copy of Monroe County, and I think Trey went ahead and went through and made it to fit our county.
You said that one of the counties had 7 that signed it and 1 that didn't. So I realize if they sign it, they get paid based on how quickly they finish the class, and then they're obligated to us for a period of time.
Right.
What happens if they don't sign it?
They're not obligated.
So they still take the class, they pay for the class, or we pay for the class?
No, we have to pay for the class.
Okay.
And it's kind of similar to what it is. But out of the 8 that he offered that class to, 7 of them took it and 1 didn't. And I think from what he said was, it was somebody that had moved into the area and wasn't sure what they were gonna do, if they were gonna stay or not. And he had the choice whether to run them through the class or not, that he did, and they ended up staying. But they didn't get paid anything because, they wasn't obligated to stay.
How many is there a limit on how many we can put in a class at one time?
No.
Okay.
We've never, I'm sure if we had too many, but we've never had that problem.
Well, I guess my thinking was if there was, they only took 8 per class or something, and we had 10, and 8 wanted to sign and 2 didn't.
Right.
Take those 8 that signed versus.
We've had as many over the years, 12, 15 people. Now it's really hard to get 6 or 8.
You're fortunate to get that many, because when I was in Fayette and I did his job, I don't think I had more than 16 at a time.
Last class, we had 6, and out of the 6 that we had, we've got 2 left.
And you feel like if we'd have had something in effect like this, that we could have maintained?
Oh, yes.
Retained.
For sure, definitely. It's kind of hard for somebody coming into the substitute position that they're not guaranteed to work, to put all this time into a class, and then they may not get a whole lot of sub work, and they have another job, so they go to that job, they don't want to come back, and work for us. They kind of put us to the side, but if something like this, it kind of helps you keep them there, because they know they're obligated to work at, and, it's not a lot, but it's enough that it's made a difference in other counties. I think it would be something good for our county to do, to stay in line and be able to keep the people that's in our county wants to train here, keep them, kind of in line with other counties.
Mr. Farley, I can't remember, how many weeks did it take you to take your class?
3 months.
Pardon?
3 months.
3 months?
March to May.
And a lot of the times these classes get drug out is because people say, I've got another job, I can't do it, I can't come. We've been pretty good because we're so desperate for drivers. We're, like I said, right now I've got 2 retirees that's really saved us. And then I have 3 other subs, which out of the 3 subs, 2 of them have full-time jobs and can only drive, when they're off day or something like that. So really, I've got 1 sub that can drive anytime.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, it's really hard to work out sometimes, and I just think, this was something they brought to us or told us about a year and a half ago, and it seems like those, the ones that have already implemented it, and they're all kind of similar. We just went off of our neighboring county because we thought that would be good to be in the same line as they are.
And it's just for substitutes?
Yeah.
Is it semantics to ask why call it a demand note versus like a sign-on bonus?
That, you would have to ask to Trey, that was what he gave it. He gave it that name.
I think that's what Monroe County called it too, wasn't it?
I'm not sure, I can't remember the
And
name.
according to state code, the only incentive that can be given for employment is for attendance. You can't have any bonuses or incentives for anything else.
That Lego jargon.
Yeah, I think that the title cannot be misleading for them when they sign it.
Yeah.
If they have to know that that document contains a demand as part of it
So paralegal.
for 10 years.
Well, I need to talk to you.
No.
Okay, so do we have a motion regarding the bus operator demand note?
I would make a motion that we approve this document that we've discussed in regard to the bus operator demand note.
I'll second.
I kind of figured.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the bus operator demand note. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the bus operator demand note has been approved. Item 10, personnel, I'm going to jump down to parent volunteer chaperone. We'll go ahead and take that one first. We're pulling it out separately.
While we have a pause in the action, Brian, if you will, keep us posted on how this is helping you out or not.
Okay, I definitely will.
All right, we have before us under personnel, the last item, parent volunteer chaperone. This is for Miss Jackie Farley, and this is effective tomorrow, 1/25/2023.
Make a motion that we approve Jackie Farley as parent volunteer chaperone.
Second.
Have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve Jackie Farley as a parent volunteer chaperone. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect that we have approved Jackie Farley as a parent volunteer chaperone by a 4-0 vote, with Mrs. Farley, Renee Farley, recusing herself. All right, so we have before us the remainder of the personnel items. We have resignations and retirements. We have leave of absence. We have professional employees. We have service employment. And we have professional extracurricular coaches. We have change of effective dates of employment and transfers from previous board action. We have substitute teachers. Now, all these have been posted, the names have been posted for the required amount of time. And I was given some information that you all may want to know. We get over to, if I can find it. I'm looking for it, Mr. Coach.
Let me help you out real quick.
Under coaches,
Oh,
the first two, we were talking about the head middle school baseball and head middle school softball. That salary will be $700 each. Is that correct?
yes, correct.
Okay. And that's what we had talked about when we approved that.
It'll be 7 and 3. You should have some assistance next time.
Okay.
So,
All right.
it'll be 3.
Before you vote, this is exciting. We're getting middle school and high school baseball and softball. This is a great headache to have. There's more kids involved, and we have people that actually want to coach too. That's the second big obstacle. And guys, I'm pretty excited about this, and that auxiliary building that you guys approved a while back for, the batting cages are being used right now, so it's pretty exciting. Mr. Unruh's been working with the softball program, so you got baseball and softball working together. And the good news is archery has their stuff in there. It is a good multi-purpose facility, so this is good.
Andrew's working with softball.
He's trying to keep them going.
Interesting.
All right, so again, as I mentioned, these have all been posted for the required amount of time. The names have been listed. Do we have a motion for the superintendent recommendations for personnel?
I'll make a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we approve the superintendent's recommendation for the remaining personnel items. Did I?
You're good.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the remainder of the personnel items have been approved. Item 11, superintendent's report, an update on the middle school addition.
Before we do that, you should have item E that was posted, but it's not on your
Okay.
notes.
Yeah.
What was that one, Lauren?
Let's see, I've got the other one here.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's discussion possible action to approve the MOU between Douglas Hampsburg and the Summers County BOE for math tutoring at Summers County High School. And it's $23 per hour, and ARP is gonna be the funding source.
And you guys have the copy right
I saw
here.
it.
Yeah. And
OneDrive.
this guy right here, what I like about it is he's willing to work with us, knowing our situation. before we had Mr. Sampson leave. So this guy knows about this situation we have with getting proximity, so we got a lot of support.
Do we have any guidance on how much of his time will be spent during school hours and how much will be spent outside of school hours?
At the outset, Mr. Angel, he's gonna start off assessing the situation with our after-school programs. If we have like Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have math specific there. And then, once he gets in for the first couple of weeks, assess the need.
Okay. And can you come back and let us know once he does that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have before us a memorandum of understanding between Summers County Schools and Douglas, and I'm going to try his last name, Amstberg.
Sounds good. Maybe we need that reading pen.
Yeah. Do I have a
I
motion?
will make a motion that we approve the MOU with Douglas Amstberg,
I'll
the
second.
Board of Education.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Farley, that we approve the memorandum of understanding between Summers County Schools and Douglas Amstberg. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we have approved the memorandum of understanding between Summers County Schools and Douglas Amstberg. All right, now, item 11, Superintendent Report Update on the Middle School Edition.
Yeah, I figured you need to, tonight you saw in the work session out that window, the work that's going on with drainage. There was a question about, there was a terracotta piece, like there was 2 pieces of drainage. That was abandoned when they built this building, and so they found, that was part of our meeting today. So they just needed 1 piece of drainage to come through there, and then what they'll end up doing is tying in a temporary drainage to that one, because you have an existing building, and eventually that'll all go together and tie into the ground. But the reason why they have to do it this way is they're going to get ready next is to pour footers. That dirt is prepared and packed tight, and it is ready. Thrasher is the third party that you all hired about a couple months ago. They're independent. They have to make sure everything that Radford is doing meets the standards for the package. It looks like they brought in a lot of dirt. It's because they have brought in a lot of dirt. Once I find out the final number of how much dirt was removed, how much was brought in, we'll get you that data. But what's exciting is footers should start to go in the next couple of weeks, weather permitting. That means drier, temperate weather. So like today, if we had more days like today, man, they could get a lot done. But they'll make sure that they move as quickly as the weather will allow them. But once that footers start getting poured, things will start moving very quickly. Where the room we were in tonight, the Pro Start room, that was going to get blocked in. But when they started looking at the windows and how the design was, they're going to wait on that around Easter break. That week that kids aren't here, they're going to work with us to, because that's a lot of movement right there. And those are some big windows that need to be removed. And you got the roof line in itself to deal with. So as they move to one piece of equipment when it comes to the footers and putting up walls, they already have a lot of the other stuff for trusses and things that you see out back. There is a lot of stuff that has come to our property. The other issue that they're going to be working on is the sewer line, the storm line, and getting that all put in. Right now, I would say we're on par with the budget at this point in time of the game. I would say we might be over about $10,000 right now, because the sewer line, you start getting into things and where things were and where they are today. It's not always, there's theory in the drawings and there's reality when you're trying to marriage 2 facilities together. So Lauren, would you say we're about 10,000 over budget right now? The good news is we have about 211,000 contingency money. That makes it 201 now when you start looking at that. We have to really watch our P's and Q's, because every little bit, it adds up over a 15-month period. Ms. Crook and I are watching everything as tightly as we can, but when these things come up, there's some things you just have to do. You approved a check for Radford and Radford tomorrow for 1.4. Mr. Radford, his wife will be here to pick up the check. We're going to hand deliver that one. I don't want that one to go in the mail. I know we discussed that with you all. There are going to be some months where they're big ticket items and then others where it's not much at all. But this one was big because of all the material. If you go out back, there's a lot of material that's been delivered. If you hear phone calls about parking being taken up out there, I check daily to see when we get more materials, how many open parking spaces we have. People just have to park in a different spot and work with us. So this is called a mess right now, and we're trying to make as much of the day as we possibly can without causing a lot of headaches. I think our bus drivers should all get in the state rodeo competition, because I swear every day it's a rodeo coming in here. I couldn't believe this morning all these buses lined up wanting to turn right because the train is going through here. And it's just life, and we've done the best we can, but I have to give a shout out to our bus drivers and our staff that work on this campus. They have been interrupted quite a bit, but overall, we've tried to mitigate that with the education institute that we have here, not to cause a lot of distractions. If you heard people say they felt like the earth was being vibrated, it was, and it's annoying. I felt it too, and I can see why the kids were like, what is going on over there? But the kids, every time I come here, it's funny to watch them stop and look out that hallway window as they go to the auditorium. They're really paying attention to what's going on, which is excitement. So if you guys have any questions about the building project at this point in time, try to answer this for you. You just want to see walls get up?
I'm surprised they get along as well as they are with all the rain.
Yeah, what were you saying?
As far as schedule goes, where are we? So we're 10,000 over budget. Where are we on schedule?
I would say we're about a couple weeks behind. We meet every other Tuesday at 2 o'clock, and today we met. And the last time we met to this time, not including today, they've been on site working 4 days. It's just been real wet, and I don't want them to hurry up to work if the ground is not ready, because that is the foundation of a big facility. So we're probably about 2 weeks behind schedule. That's all I have.
All right, this is,
Oh, no, sorry, go ahead. 2 shout outs real quick, and you guys have point of privilege, but I don't mean to take anybody's thunder. Honors Band, I know I sent you pictures. Kids, that's just wonderful to see our kids perform in the honors. You had 3 individuals who wouldn't have been recognized if it wasn't for Mr. Sims. I can't say it enough. Mr. Sims has come in and created an environment that has been successful for our kids. Mr. Sims has worked his tail off to make sure we have a good marching band. I've been told, because I'm not a music major, I know how to appreciate music, but there's a difference between marching band, which my daughters told me, and concert band. And not as many people get as jacked up about concert as they do marching. I guess maybe because you don't play Ozzy Osbourne, AC/DC in concert like you do on a marching band. I get it. So, but we had some kids that did well. Amanda Bennett, Grayson Gum, and just lost his name. Miss Holt's son. Logan Osborne, thank you. But those 3 kids did a great job to be recognized. Also on Friday, our Patriot team had about 20 kids. They met me with the superintendent, state superintendent, and the other 54 superintendents and state officials. Those 20 kids, I told them I'm proud of them. They need to be commended again. We'll recognize them when we go to Hinton area for the LSIC. We'll let them perform for you there. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it, record it. But our kids did it without any notes and performed, and they represent themselves well. They represent their school, family, and community well. They are to be commended. They dress the part. They look professional. The white gloves, the seriousness of it. And I can tell you right now, Larry Cochran with the Community Schools Coordinator, getting these kids involved, he told the community that we were with, which was all the state superintendents, that he has a standing order that the kids have to get good grades and go to school. He said this one gentleman's name. It's helped him out, and the kid smiled, which was pretty cool. Like, yeah, I did that. And that's good to honor that kid. And he said he has about 10 kids on the waiting list. But these fifth graders have to come out here next year. So there'll be some openings, but that's really cool that he's created an environment. The kids not only did the Pledge of Allegiance, but guys, it gave chills to Star Spangled Banner. And like Mr. Cochran said, they might not be the best singers, but just excuse that and enjoy the time. And we all sang with them. Then Mr. Cochran showed me something today. He said, look at this. This is on the bus without any adults telling these kids. They're singing the Star Spangled Banner like a fight song on a bus. Guys, that's patriotism. Kids that care about our country and kids that went and showcased their talents from our county to say, we can do it. And that was really cool, guys. And then Mr. Roach, the state superintendent, was given a flag, and he really appreciated that. And then I gave out on behalf of our kids before they did their Pledge of Allegiance to Star Spangled Banner, those little lapel pins. And I told each one of them, you have to put that on. The kids gave it to you. I just kept saying that. And it was real cool that they were all like pointing their pins after the guys. I was proud. I was a proud papa. And one superintendent said to me, she said, you look like a proud papa up there. And I said, I was. Those kids did a great job. They did not read from any script. They did it from the heart, and you felt the patriotism. So I want to give Hinton area great job. They went and saw Mr. Deeds and Mr. Jack David Woodrum, got a picture. That was a great day. Mr. Cochran said they were tired. He thought they would sleep more, but they just kept singing. I said, well, they're in elementary. They have a lot of energy. So anyway, sorry about forgot that report. Sorry if I stole any of your guys' thunder on points of privilege, but we have to share that. That was great stuff.
Thank you. So we do have points of privilege for the second board meeting in the month. We'll start with Ms. Harvey. Do you have anything?
I would like to point out Hinton Area Elementary's Title I event that they did I think it was last night actually. They had a huge turnout according to social media with parents and children, staff that stayed up after hours. It was really great to see that level of parental involvement and students along with the staff all together.
Thank you. Mr. Brogan?
Megan, you stole my thunder. I talked about the same thing. It was pretty refreshing to see how many parents, because you just don't have that anymore. And they had again, according to what we saw on Facebook, quite the turnout, and it's encouraging.
Thank you. Mrs. Farley? You have anything?
You skipped right over Jay.
Okay, Jay. Next to last.
I just wanted to say that it's been so nice the past few days on social media. You know, on social media, you see so many negative things. And it's been so nice to see parents and grandparents putting their kids' accomplishments on there. The good grades, the student of the month, attendance. It's just been so wonderful. And I would like to encourage each and every one of you and the ones that will watch this streaming later, when you see someone post their children or grandchildren's accomplishments, make a comment on there, tell them good job or that you're proud of them, because a lot of them go back and show their kids that. So that when they read that, they know that we really are behind them and that we're so proud of them, because the more backup they have, I think that the more that it really touches them. So I would encourage everyone, when you see that, make a little comment for them.
Thank you. Mr. McBride?
Well, I would like to, if we could, at the next meeting, discuss the possibility of getting some flashing lights on the signs out in front of Hinton area.
Okay.
I know I've talked to Mr. Durden in Hinton area, and he's supposed to be giving me some information I wanted to get with Mr. Boone. And I know when I was there as transportation director, that's one of the things I wanted to try to get there. And I think the prices are down a lot lower now than they were at that time. And I just want to see if we have any money available.
Okay.
And if it's feasible. I mean, I think we need it.
Well, I know we also, Mr. Boone, we tried to make out a one-way street. We'll see if that's a possibility, because it'd be nice to just get people to flow in one way to help out, because it gets a little tight there, but I know it's a push and pull with the neighborhood, and I get that, but we'll see.
Maybe one way during certain hours.
Yeah, but we'll check the lights out.
Yeah, and like I said, Mr. Kern was giving me some information on school signs. They have them with, they're solar powered.
Yeah.
LED flashing lights. You could set them to come on automatically at certain times, go off.
Okay.
The ones he's using down there now, he has to go put them out. He has to
Okay.
bring them back, and if you get called, you know, as an assistant principal, he gets called to do something else, the lights may be down there for 2 hours.
Yeah, and there's only one Steve Starleper. He's always out there every morning. Yeah, to go off of that, though, those lights on the school buses, I know Mr. Boone and his team have put a lot of those bright lights on each bus.
And they work.
And people have commented on that in the community.
They
That's- Yeah, they do.
They work.
Yes, they're great. We've had a lot of positive comments come back from parents and drivers and teachers both, but I've had several calls from parents that really liked it, that they can see them, especially when they're waiting to see if it's a bus or their house, they can see it and know it's not a tractor trailer or something.
Yeah.
And I know I asked this question, but what percentage are we at?
We have them all but 5 of our regular route buses,
Okay.
and that's because them are on back order. We're still waiting to get them.
I know that we talked about
Yeah.
as supply and demand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those LED lights are nice and bright too as well.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
I have one more point of privilege, and it is to Mr. Boone. Tractor trailer accident just down the road from my house that I think took about 2 to 3 hours to clear out and completely blocked the road. There was no delay in school transportation. They were right on it. He was able to reroute the bus drivers, and so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boone.
All right, and I just want to switch gears here just for a minute, but as we all know, we're in the legislative session. So my recommendation is keep an eye on the bills that are coming through. Mr. Deeds, when he was at our meeting, indicated that he is on the education committee. So I would say reach out to Mr. Deeds and stay in contact with him and just kind of keep an eye on bills that you all see. And if you see one, bring it up and let us all know. And if I see one, I'll let you all know. So just be prepared, because I think we're going to see some changes with this legislative session. Okay, item 13, discussion of next agenda. If we can put on the next agenda just a discussion regarding the lighting, the school zone lighting for Hinton Area Elementary. Is there any other items that any of the members would like to see on the next agenda?
Yes, prosecuting attorney Kristen Cook has reached out asking to be placed on the next agenda to discuss the it's called Handle with Care program. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a good program.
Yeah, just with all the different board, sheriff, since it was implemented, she's wanting to revamp and introduce the program.
Perfect.
Any other items? As always, if you have an item, you can reach out to myself or Mr. Wardle, and we can get that added on. All right, Mr. McBride, item 14, adjournment, you're up.
All right, I make a motion to adjourn. Time is now 7:31.
Want these